I have to be honest, since the passing of Satoru Iwata, I've been thinking a lot about my childhood, and I remembered a time that me and my brother did something that was pretty epic, and it had a lot to do with Nintendo, and I wanted to share that with you guys today on episode 74. So if you grew up in the 80s like I did, you know, especially if you were a gamer back then, everything revolved around video games, arcades, and then when the home consoles started coming out, you know, I mean, I grew up on the 2600, but, you know, obviously as the years progressed, 7800 came out and everybody's blown away, you know, and then you got Sega, and then you got Nintendo. Nintendo came out. Man, we did not get a Nintendo when everybody else got their Nintendo. We got ours late. We had to play Nintendo at a friend's house, but man, I was blown away. I mean, I was blown away. The first, obviously the first Nintendo game I played was, you know, Super Mario Brothers, but shortly after that I played Castlevania at a friend's house. His name was Timothy. He was my brother's friend, and we'd go over there and play games. He had all the cool games. That joker had, obviously it's a Super Mario Brothers, but he had Contra, goody. He had Castlevania, which was epic. He just had all the cool games. Jackal, if you ever played Jackal, I got that game. Good games. And I remember we also had these people down the road from ours that we would go down and play Zelda. And I had another friend of mine, I think his name was, well, it was two of them. It was brothers. It was Frank and Timmy was their names. And we'd go over there and play Mega Man 2 when that came out. So that's kind of where my childhood memories were. And obviously me and my brother, we didn't have Nintendo Power. I think we ended up getting it a little bit later on down the line, but at first we didn't have it. We would just look at other people's Nintendo Powers, like on the school bus and stuff like that, the magazine. Just an amazing time growing up, you know, around that whole Nintendo era, right? And this is kind of where I wanted to go with this story. Me and my brother, when we were little, we had aspirations of, I don't know, becoming video game developers, if you will. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to make something. Whether it was a video game or a console, we wanted to do it, right? And I remember there was this, and I think it was in Nintendo Power, or it might have been another magazine, but it had something to do with Nintendo, but there was a contest for drawing like Mega Man characters. Literally, you could draw these Mega Man characters, you could give them names, and you send them in, and I forget all the details, but it was some kind of contest, and me and my brother, we actually went through and created 12 Mega Man characters, 12 Mega Man enemies, right? And was going to send them in. I don't know if we got around to sending them in or not, because I think maybe we thought our designs weren't good enough, because I was an artist. My brother was great at, like, we had stats, like statistics, you know what I'm saying? We had names. It was crazy, dude. I remember there was this one guy, because we were pretty big into like X-Men and stuff like that. And you know, Magneto, right? He has that kind of that cool looking helmet with the slit down the center. And so we created like a Mega Man character, an enemy that had kind of that, like the same Magneto helmet. He'll tell you in the comments. My brother, he watches all these videos. He'll tell you we were straight gangster when we were kids, man. We wanted to make something. And I remember that I forget what it was. I remember what it was. Because we were big in arcade games. We're big in arcade games. Obviously, going to, you know, put our quarters in the machines at the stores. And me and my brother, we got to thinking. We were like, we should design a portable console where think of like a laptop. Okay, think of a laptop, but when you open up the laptop, right, instead of having all the keys and the numpad on the side and all that kind of stuff, imagine that none of that's there, right? And you have like a fight stick with buttons, like 6 buttons. Now the fight stick folds down. You see what I mean? So there's like a little groove in there. It folds down. So you pop the laptop screen up, and then you pop the joystick up, and now you have a portable arcade system. And that's something that we thought would just be freaking epic, dude. So we literally sat down for, God, it was weeks, and we developed this thing. We didn't know anything about how it would work, but from a cosmetic standpoint, I mean, we had blueprints, designs, overhead views, side views, measurements. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff. I drew it. My brother kind of came up with all the little details about it and stuff that he wanted to see. And we had the start and select buttons in there too. And like I said, it was really nice. We drew it and everything. And we actually sent it into Nintendo. Now, come on, let's just be real. As a kid, you know that your shots at anything like this is so slim. Although with, you know, the internet and everything nowadays, we see a lot of people. I mean, there's 14-year-old kids who are millionaires right now because they did some crazy little app that nobody even saw coming, and, you know, they sold it to Yahoo or some of these big, you know, sites and made millions and millions of dollars. So I think we see it more nowadays where you can create something like that and it just takes off. But, you know, back when I was a kid, like pre-internet being cool, you know, stuff like this, it was very hard to imagine that you would strike gold on something like that. But we sent it in. We sent it into Nintendo, and we were pumped. And my mom tried to tell us, you know, hey, you know, there's a chance that, you know, there's a large chance that, you know, nothing's going to become of this. I just, you know, she was doing her job as a parent to kind of brace us for the fact that this was probably a dead-end street. But at the same time, she wanted to support us because she knew we were very creative, and she wanted to kind of see us go down that road. And I remember we got a response. So that's right, your boy Xonevant and my brother, we got an official letterhead back from Nintendo. Now, of course, it said things like, you know, we regret to inform you that, you know, we're not heading down this path as a company. Maybe in the future we can explore something like, you know, it was one of those kind of letterheads. But just the fact that we got it, because look, I'm telling you, man, we were legit. We spent every single day after school for a long time. I don't know if it definitely wasn't like a week. It was probably a good month or more. And we sat there and we come home every day after school, we get our homework done, and then we would just boom. We were in the lab, son, if you will, just scoping this thing out. And we would go to school with sketches and we'd say, hey man, you know, do you think your hands would fit better here? Or, you know, what if we move these over a bit? I mean, it was legit. It was like some R&D, you know what I'm saying? Like we wanted to see, you know, what the response would be from, you know, our quote unquote fellow gamers at school. And everybody was like, oh yeah, man, put this here. And can you put this up a little bit higher? And how long is the fight stick going to reach up? Because it might block the view of the game. Like, I mean, it was legit. We had it sketched out, the blueprints and everything. But we did get a response back from Nintendo. And like I said, obviously we got denied. But we got a response. And I don't know, man. I just, over the last couple of days since finding out that he passed away, just been thinking about my childhood a lot, man, and how much that shaped me as a person, because I'll still do that stuff today. You know, when I get my mind set on something, I treat it just like I treated that, I don't even know what we called it. It was a arcade fight stick, portable arcade machine. I don't know. My brother Mike can remember what we actually called this thing. He watches these videos. If you do, let me know, bro, in the comments. But I don't know, man. Just been thinking a lot about my childhood, and you know, everything today, especially with the internet and Twitter and Facebook, everything is, I don't know, everything gets jumbled up sometimes in like gaming industry politics, if you will. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like back in the day, not to say that there probably wasn't that back in the day, because there was a lot of stuff going on between Sega and Nintendo. It was kind of like PS3 and Xbox. It was that sort of thing. But because the internet was very young in that particular time, you really didn't see it as much, right? You just didn't even notice it. And a lot of knowledge was gained about these companies via magazines, stuff that you read, and then the interaction you have with actual people. You know, with the internet, yes, you're dealing with people, but it's text chat. It's more distant, if that makes sense. You know, back in the day when you really wanted to talk to somebody about a video game, you looked them in the eye. You know what I mean? And if you wanted to tell somebody that their favorite game was horrible, you had to tell it to their face. And then you had to risk, you know, getting a beat down on the playground, because that's just how it was, you know? And everything's changed so much. And like I said, over the last couple of days, I've just been kind of exploring my childhood and looking back on those memories. And I said, man, you know, me and my brother, we once tried to create a console, a portable console for Nintendo, and it was because they inspired us. And I was like, wow. And I think I've carried a lot of that inspiration into my adulthood, into, to now as an adult. I've carried a lot of that into that momentum into growing up. And that is crazy how a gaming company, or anything for that matter, can have that much influence over somebody throughout their, living on this planet. I don't know. It's crazy to think about it. But yes, we tried to design a console for Nintendo, and we did get a response. And that meant a lot to me. And I look back on it and I go, wow, that was kind of a milestone in my life. And we were young. I mean, me and my brother was very young when we did this. And I don't know, just been thinking about it a lot. So I'd like to hear, because I think everybody has played Nintendo before. I mean, I know that everybody has their issues sometimes with the Nintendo and all the fanboy stupid politics that goes around the internet that I cannot stand. But I think all in all, you got to respect what they've done for the gaming industry, since the beginning. They've done a lot of innovative stuff, and you got to respect that. So I want to know what Nintendo has done for you. You know what I mean? Whether it be now or when you were a kid, or maybe this news is causing you to want to go back and maybe play some games that you never played, or give Nintendo a shot, or check things out. So I just want to know what Nintendo has done for you. What was the game that did something for you? What happened to you when basically I want to know your memory of Nintendo, because that's what I'm sharing with you guys today. And I don't know, I have a lot of good memories when it comes to Nintendo. So please share with me yours, and I'll see you guys right back here tomorrow.